Hey, how's it going, folks? My name is Hellbent, and a few months ago, back around Christmas time of last year, I had started working on a upgrade to my Quick Run program, which is this here, which is basically just a script that allows me to launch my favorite scripting tools, applications, web pages, blah blah blah, quickly, and etc. etc. So I started working on a upgrade for this, and then Christmas time came, and I ended up going out of town for a couple of weeks. And when I got back, I just didn't really feel like doing any scripting, so I stopped scripting for about 3 or 4 months. And now that I've started again, um, I don't really know if I have it in me to continue on this project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to release this script to anyone who wants to have a copy of it. If I do end up finishing it, it'll be available to only selected people. But blah blah blah. So what I'll do in this video is I'll go over how to get a copy of it, how to set it up, and what you're going to need to do to make certain features work on it, because it isn't a complete project, so it's kind of an as-is. Most of the things work perfectly fine. A few of the other things you have to take a couple extra steps to get them to do what they would find in the end they would be doing on their own. So in the link, there's going to be a link to a Pastebin page, and this contains the script for the program. You don't need to, if you already have AutoHotkey, you don't need to download anything. You can just copy and paste this into a new script. So that's what we'll do. So at the very bottom of this page, there is a place called Raw Paste Data. Go ahead and select anywhere in there, and then press Control A to highlight it, and then Control C to put it into your clipboard. Next, go to a place on your computer. So I've created a temporary folder that I'm going to delete afterwards, and I'm going to put that in here. So in this folder, I'm going to right-click. I'm going to go to New, and New AutoHotkey Script, and I'm going to give it a name. I'm just going to call it Temp Docket. And then I'm going to right click on that, and I'm going to go to Edit. And if you don't have an editor, it'll open up a notepad or whatever other thing you have. But I have Cite for AutoHotkey, so by default editing opens up in here. I'm going to get rid of these 4 lines at the top, and I'm going to paste in that script. Then I'm going to save it, and I'm going to run it. The first time you run it, because you haven't created a profile yet with all your information, it's going to build that profile, and then once it's done building the profile, it'll load that profile. This only happens on the first time you run this program. The second time you run the program, it's just going to load your profile, but in the first time it has to create it. So it takes about a minute for it to actually go through and create the ini file for it. And you get a progress bar that tells you the progress. So like I said, it takes about a minute. I'm going to try to keep this video as short as I can, but you know what? If this video ends up being 12 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever, I mean, if you don't want to watch it, that's up to you. I'm offering you a free program that's going to save you a lot of time, make organizing things a lot easier. So I'm not going to stress too much if the video runs a little bit long. This is my second time trying to record it. The first time I was up to 25 minutes, so I am re-recording it. But if I don't do well on this one, I'm just going to say to hell with it, blah, blah, blah. I'll try to do things by the numbers. I'll try to go over things by the numbers. Okay, so it's almost done building the profile, and then it's going to load the profile and then run the program. So the building profile only happens the first time you run the program. Now it's loading, so loading is a lot faster. And then it's added the program. So this program, when you have it running, it sits off to the left-hand side of your screen. So if you have your taskbar or whatever you call this stuff down here, if you have this on the left-hand side of your screen, this program is not going to work for you. If you have a 3-monitor setup where one of your monitors goes into negative numbers, this program is not going to work for you. Perhaps the next upgrade that I'll make for this, perhaps later on in the year, I'll make it so that way certain things that might cause you issues with running it, I'll work the bugs out of those, and it'll be available for more people. But if this doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. If it works, I can only write it to work for me. This is my, So that's what I do. Okay, so like I said, it starts the program off on the left-hand side of your screen. It starts with it being open, so all I have to do to access it is I just move my cursor over to the left of my screen and it pops this out. And this is all the docs. Now the docs are a sub-window that contains up to 60 programs, files, web pages, blah, 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 that I can click on and run. And there's 9 different docs that I can use. First thing we'll go over is it has this, let's see, locking it down. So right now, if I move my cursor over, it automatically expands out when I go over. If I want, what I can do is I can lock this down by right-clicking anywhere within this window. So I can right-click on this window, the green light will turn to red, and now if I move my cursor away, even if I move my cursor there, it stays locked down. If I want to unlock it, I just right-click on the red button, and it expands back out again. So it just sits there all the time on the side of my computer. If I need to run something from it, I just right click on that, go to the appropriate dock, and then click on the appropriate button to launch whatever I want. Each of these docks, in the final version right now, if I hit settings, it doesn't do anything. There's no settings. A few of the things that I was planning on adding is like having it so that way you can actually have password protection on certain docks. So if, for example, if I have files that I don't want anyone to be able to get access to, I can put a passcode on it, and then I have to, if I try to open up that, I have to type in a little password to get into the docs. But that's not added. Another thing that I was going to add is the ability to, in through the settings, change the name of the docs, but that hasn't been added. So let's go over that first. To change the name of the docs, what we need to do is we need to actually go into the ini file. So go to the folder that it's contained in, and then open that in Edit. And the doc names are at the very bottom of this file. So go to the very bottom of the file, and it says doc1 name equals unnamed doc. So let's say, for example, if I wanted this first one to be web pages. Why am I getting that? Web pages. If I want the second one, let's say scripting tools. Let's say the next one I just want to have hot string scripts. Hot strings, right? Etc. etc. You can name all the docs whatever you want. You can come back in later on and change them if you need to. Okay, so once I have these changes made, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to File, Save, and then I'm going to relaunch this program. It'll load the profile, and now those first 3 docs will have their new name. So web pages, scripting tools, hot strings. Okay, to open up one of the docs, all you have to do is click on the appropriate button. To close this doc, there's 2 ways I can close it. The first way is I can click on any of the buttons again, so I can click on this button or this button or this button, right? And that'll close it. The other way you can close it is by just moving your cursor past the edge. So if I move my cursor past the edge, it closes on its own. Sometimes that's a little bit annoying, sometimes it's not, whatever. It is the way it is. Okay, the next thing we'll look at is the sliding animation. Perhaps you don't like the sliding animation. So one of the things I was going to add in is the ability so that way you can make it so that it instantly slides over rather than doing the animation of it sliding over. So it'll instantly be fully expanded, instantly be collapsed. That hasn't been implemented, but if we go into the code, there'll be a variable that I have implemented that if you change the value of it, it will do that. So I need to find the subroutine that deals with that to find the name of that variable. And if you're following along, once you get it, okay, here it is. So I need to find a variable called instant slide. So I'm going to copy that and do a search for it. Instant slide. Let me go up to the top of the script because I know it's going to be closer up there. And find next. And here we go. So on line 146, there is a variable called instant slide, and it has a default value of 0. We're just going to change that to 1, rerun the program, and now rather than having the sliding animation, it's just going to instantly expand. Okay. I personally like the sliding animation, so I'm going to use the sliding animation 0. Okay, let's go through adding programs now. So once you have a doc, there's a couple of things that you can do in here. A bunch of features I haven't implemented yet, but most of them I have. If you want to have better organization, or if you want to change the color theme, what you can do is go into settings, and then this gives you the ability to change the trim color and the text color. So if I want it to be for the whole page, I just use select all, and then I can select between 15, I think it's 15 default colors. So for example, if I want the trim to be aqua, and if I want the text to be white, I can do that, have it select all, and then update. If, for example, I want to have a little bit better, easier to navigation of the different columns, so that way, I get used to seeing, if I see a column that has yellow and green text or whatever, then I know that that's what I'm looking for. So, because there's 60 different buttons, so you want to make it so that way you can organize it and find what you're looking for quickly. So let's say if column 3, for example, I want to make the trim color yellow, and I want the text color to be silver. Update. And now this one will have that. Or I can make it yellow text as well. Let's make it yellow text as well. You can also do custom colors. To do custom colors, you just type in the hex code for it. So for example, if I want to do red, it's FF0000. And then to make it so it affects it, you actually just click on that color and then switch between text and trim. Okay. That's that. Once I'm done, I can just exit. To add a program, by default, if I click on a button that doesn't have anything added to it, it automatically goes into edit mode. But before we do that, let's go through naming the columns. Just like with the naming the buttons, this is something that hasn't been implemented yet. So to change the name of the different columns, so to make it better organized for you, so you have the topic is the category is web pages, and then subcategories whatever. So email addresses, blah blah blah. So to change these names, once again, you have to go into the I'll also point out that any changes that you make, it's automatically saved. So the next time I load it, it's going to have the same color theme. So let's go into the document, the text, the ini file, and let's look for the column names. So the column names are broken up throughout the program. So the first one will be closer to the top. The button names and info, doc 2. Okay, I guess it is down there in the bottom, near the bottom. Okay, so right here is where these buttons are. Above that, it starts going through the details about the different docs. So the trim settings, the text settings, and the column names. So this is 9. Above that will be 8. And then 7, 6, 5, 4, we're looking for 1. So doc trim theme. So this is the docs theme. Let's go to... Actually, you know what? I need to run this again because I have made changes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close that and open it again because I have made changes to that. So I'll get those. So down near the bottom, the doc 1 trim theme is the first part of it. And we'll go to doc 1 column name. So if I want to change, let's say this is web pages. If I want the first column to be, let's say, my email addresses, the different emails I use, what I would do is I could just say, I can call that column email. And then save that. And then when I run the program again, oops, I closed it by accident. the first column is now named email, so I can put all my email addresses in here. To add a program, just select one of the buttons that hasn't been used, and it'll automatically open up Add Edit Program. Now there is a caveat. Right now it hasn't been fully implemented, so if actually I'll talk about that in a second. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a name. I'm going to put a name on the button. So let's say if I'm using Yahoo. Let's say I only have one Yahoo email address, I could just put Yahoo. All right. Next thing I need is the path. So what I would do is I would navigate to my web page and get the path from the web page. So let's actually not use Yahoo, because I'm not going to be opening up my email in this video. So I'll do something else instead. So I'm going to hit cancel, and instead I'm going to put it in column 2. I'm going to add YouTube's homepage, because I can quickly do this. So I'm gonna add my YouTube page, because my YouTube page is already up. So I'm gonna do Civ Reborn is what I'm gonna call the button, and I'm going to go to that page, and I'm just gonna copy that and paste it in. Alternatively, what I can do is I can hit Get Path, come up here, select this, and then hit Control, and it'll automatically do that for me. Okay, if I have any notes that I need to put in here, so for example, if this is a script or a hot string script or something like that, and I want to list different hot strings or hotkeys that I can use in it, I have access to it without actually having to go into the script to see what the hotkeys are, so I can leave myself some little notes on what it does. Now right now, there is no way to access, there was going to be a way to access the notes without having to go through Add Edit Program, but that hasn't been implemented. So once, let's say blah blah notes, I'm going to hit update, and now if I click on this button, it's going to launch my home page. This is, by default, it's set up to go to your default browser. So if I want to, for example, right now I have my default browser set to be Chrome, but if I want this to go to another browser instead of my default browser, I could just type out the name of that browser. So for example, if I want it to launch in Firefox, is it one word? I'm not sure. Is it one? I hate Firefox. Firefox.exe, right? And then when I run this program, if I update and run it again, it'll launch Firefox. But Firefox takes a long time for my computer to load up, so I don't like using it. If I want to use Internet Explorer instead, I just do ie.exe, and this will open up in Internet Explorer instead. Okay, so that's adding a web page. Just copy in the address, update, blah blah blah. Okay, I'm going to cancel. Now remember I said about notes, right now it doesn't have it implemented that I can actually see. The only way I can actually see those notes is by hitting edit and then going to that, and then if I have any notes I can see them, right? And if it's 100, if it's, you know, whatever amount lines long, I can see it. Like I said, it's going to be a feature. If I ever get back to this, it will be a feature, so that way you can easier access to the notes. But that hasn't been implemented, so just use that. Let's say if I'm not happy with the organization or whatever, and I want to move things around, so let me create another button here. I'm going to do, if I want to run the calculator, I'll do that. Right, so let's say if instead of having the calculator there, I want to have it somewhere else in here. What I can do is I can hit move, select the thing I want to move, and then select the new location I want it to go to. If I want to swap things, you know, it's just select the thing that I want to move and then where I want it to move to, etc., etc. Okay, let's go over adding a program. I think how it works, like I'm not super tech savvy. I'm an older guy, you know. I'm in my 40s now, so and I don't work with computers. It's just, you know, I mostly just watch YouTube videos or movies or whatever on my computer. I don't use it for, I don't create this or that spreadsheets and blah blah blah. So there's a lot of things the terminology is I don't really care about. But I think how it works is for things that are in your program files, you can just use the extension, so the executable. So for example, with the calculator, when I added this in, all I had to do was type out its exe directory name or whatever, so calc.exe. But if it's something that's not, now this is just, like I said, this is how I think it works. I'm not sure. But I think if it's something that's not in your program files, you actually have to type out its full path. So let's go over adding something to this if it's not something that's in the program files. So let's say, for example, if I want to add a script to my program. So I'm going to add this here. And what we'll do is let's go and create a new button. So I'm going to create a new button. I'm going to call this docket, and I'm going to make sure I'm navigated there. I'm going to hit get path. I'm going to select the thing that I want to add. Now sometimes this is hit or miss. Sometimes you have to do this twice in order for it to actually register it. I don't know why, but sometimes it does take twice. I just select the thing I want to have and I hit control once, and that should update. So this time it did it the first time. So this is the path to that program, and it'll be updated. Let's use something else instead, because I don't want to rerun. Actually, you know what? To hell with it. To hell with it. Update. Okay, so now if I hit this, it's going to probably close this program and relaunch it. So that's adding any programs that you want. So if I have, let's see, if I want to add, I'll add one of these images that I have on my screen. I'm going to hit get path, bullet hole 2. There we go, we have the path to that. I'll update, and now if I click this, it should run that image. So that's how easy it is to add a program. Now let's say, for example, if I want to open something but I don't want to run it. So let's say in the example of this docket program, what if I'm working on that script and I want to have it in my directory here, but I want it to actually open up in edit mode. So I can go to that program. I'm just going to, actually let me create a new instance of it. So let's assume that I didn't add it before. I'm going to call it docket edit, or edit docket, whatever. So I'll just indicate that this is editing. It's just a name. I can call this Bob. The edit part doesn't literally mean that it's going to do the editing part for me. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the path again to that program. Alright, there's the path, and at the very beginning what I'm going to do is, before its directory address, I'm going to type in the word edit and then a space. And now when I click on this, rather than it running that program, it's going to open up my editor and have that program in it. So let me close this, and I'll close that. Right, so if I have a document that I'm working on, you know, a Microsoft Word document, a spreadsheet or whatever, I can just have this, put it in here while I'm working on it, and then when I'm done working on it, I can get rid of it. So if I want to edit this, bam, it opens up my editor with that already ready to go. Let's go over now removing a program. There will eventually, if I end up getting it, a way to automatically remove something. Perhaps in the, I'll perhaps add a button in here somewhere that says remove something, blah blah blah. To do it now, what we need to do is just hit edit, go to the thing that you want to remove, get rid of its name, get rid of its path, and update. Now there is one thing. If we were to do right now, it's set to automatic. When you go to click on a button that doesn't have a name or a path associated with it, it launches this add or edit program. In order for it to do that right now, what you actually have to do is type in, when you're done, when you clear off the button or whatever, type in empty, because that's what it's looking for. It's looking for that string in the path to automatically. So this is number 19. I'm going to update, and I don't know where 19 was, so here, I'm going to clear this one here. Oops, I forgot. I'm supposed to be editing. So I'm going to edit this first one. Edit. If I just clear if I just clear the stuff in here and then update, it's going to get rid of it. It's not going to launch any programs by me clicking on it, so I'm clicking on it now, but it's not automatically going to go back into edit mode. To make it so that way it automatically goes back into edit mode once I've removed something, I need to make sure that in the path it has empty. Update. Now when I click on this, it'll go to automatically to edit. I think that covers everything. Yeah, I think that covers everything, and we're at 25 minutes again. Damn. Oh well, it's a 25-minute long video. If you have any questions about this, then go ahead and leave a comment, and I'll try to answer it as best I can. I'm not going to be, unless I actually go back to work on this, I'm not going to be doing anything, so it either works for you or it doesn't work for you. You know, it's an as-is thing. Sooner or later, I'll have another updated one to this, but for now, blah, blah, blah. Alright, peace.